Hello, Canada. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias the Guy. Well, we have still got just chaos going on down in LA, and the media, well, Canadian media is just trying to avoid it like the plague, especially after what they did to the Freedom Convoy here in Canada, which we're going to do just a mild comparison here after I show you some of this just explosive video that's coming out from LA. It's just the sheer recklessness, destruction, theft, assaults, you name it. Everything's going down. There's even rumors that there are women being assaulted. It's just sheer chaos. Now, there's a couple videos of that what I just said, and I'm not going to show that to you. It is in LA. I don't know if it has something to do with the riots but obviously with all the chaos, the animals are out of the cages, and look out. Sheer chaos. Yeah, it's just insane. And I'm going to kind of go over how the legacy media down in the States has been covering this. We see this all the time. This is what I love about my job. This is why I created this channel, because I just love exposing just the propaganda, the absolute insane propaganda. It's hilarious. And it works on two sides, but for the most part, evil begets evil. And these people like chaos. They make money off it. They profit off it. And they definitely profit from certain parties who pay them, which we know, just like the Liberals here in Canada, pay off our entire legacy. Every CRTC, anybody who gets a pass, a permit to legally speak and own the airwaves is bought and paid for in this country. This is why I always say, please like, share, and subscribe, because this is how we're going to pop that bubble and break the propaganda. End it. We got to end state-funded media. But we've also known now, especially with Doge, that the Democrats were funding billions of dollars to the left mainstream down in the States, and literally linked all of those channels to all of the fake conspiracies that they were calling out, the lies that they were saying. And it's just fun watching. My job is mostly I try to deal on the Canadian politics, but because mainstream is literally avoiding this LA riots, I feel it incumbent upon myself to definitely keep you guys informed of the chaos. And like I said, I'm going to show you a comparison, just a little brief clip of a reminder of the violent, mean Freedom Convoy that was here, that the propaganda media said they were trying to lock people in a building and burn them, which that was a lie. Said that there were guns in the trucks, that was a lie. What else did they say? Oh yeah, the garbage, the assault on the police and people walking down the streets. What were some? Oh right, stealing from the homeless. Yeah. By the way, they actually reduced the amount. Like they pretty much cured the famine crisis in Ottawa and surrounding areas. In fact, all of the cities across Canada where these protests were taking place, which I'm proud to say, I went to a lot of those protests. Yeah, there was always an abundance of food. Everybody made sure to pack extra because we were protesting in the places where most of the homeless and the impoverished people were. And after the first 4 or 5 days, they realized that if they were in dire straits, those were the people who would help them the most. They were the most caring, most Canadian people out there. We shoveled walks, we picked up garbage, we partied together. It was a really good time. All that darn violent Canadian stuff. Anyways, we're going to deal with that here today. And then we're just going to move on to just some other news. There's one part I'm going to show for like an interview that happened with Danielle Smith. Vassy, my God, sometimes she tries so hard and it looks like she's actually going to do her job, and then she just falls flat on her face again, just like her interviews with Governor Turdo. My God, she's She plays the part very well. Like, I'm a journalist. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're a nincompoop. It's quite funny. Yeah, and then we're just gonna talk about like the unemployment rate in youths and some other things and kind of get caught up, and then talk about my clothing line. I just finished releasing a whole bunch of more stuff. I've been working on these digital programs for clothing design. I tell ya, my head is just about to explode. I've been up for a long time, 3 hours sleep for what am I on now? I think I'm on day 5. Yeah, I'm wrecked. But anyways, this is what I guys got to do, right? So let's just get started on this chaos, absolute chaos going on down in the States. So we're just going to start off with some media coverage of what's going on down there. Because, you know, these guys, they'll tell you the truth. Oh, sorry, I got to turn the volume up on that.
The president is sending the National Guard. We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting. We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there.
Gotta love CNN. Just gotta love them. I've been warning people for years. I got a few family members that used to watch this stuff. And then finally when I had enough, and I actually would do record small clips. This is before I did my channel, and I would compile just a bunch of saved proof, and a lot of it was I started off with documentation, and that's what led me to realize that in order for me to kind of do this, I needed to keep everything into a video format. So I woke up a lot of people with the documentation, but not enough. And then once I started actually compiling, doing a lot of research to find the videos of what was actually going on down there. And this is where Elon really helped, because X, it's a free platform, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. It's the true form of democracy. These are the types of platforms with this type of deregulation, the ultimate in freedom, that allow people to post this stuff without being censored. Not like where I am right now. I still have to watch a lot of the things. I can't show you a lot of clips. For the most part, I do try to want to keep this kind of like a friendly show, family friendly kind of show, news based kind of. But in order for people to really see it, you need to see it. You need to be able to recognize it, visually see it, emotionally feel it, for it to really sink in. So okay, we're gonna go through a few more of these clips. These are absolutely hilarious. Here's another one. Love it, just love it. Mainstream.
Most of the crowds, again, that I saw, that I spoke to, that I was interacting with, these are peaceful people that want to get their message across. They brought signs. They're out with families in some places, and others are obviously more agitant, have the mask on, you know, and reportedly, I didn't see this, but reportedly throwing things back at authorities that are trying to do their job.
But he didn't see this. He didn't see this. He's a reporter. He's supposedly a journalist out on the streets, and he didn't see this. Interesting. Very interesting. He didn't see this. Let's just keep on rolling it out. Gotta love it.
Demonstrations had been
We're gonna hit all the mainstream.
Right outside the Federal Detention Center. Most of those demonstrators were very peaceful. They were chanting, they were shouting. People were driving by, honking their horns, and again they were expressing.
Don't honk your horns. That's violence in Canada. Don't honk your horns. Oh my God! People will break down and cry and sue you for $300 million for honking your horns. That's the worst violent act you could possibly do. Well, that's Canadian violence. That's nasty stuff. Nasty.
Expressing their anger about the detention of so many immigrants at the federal center. Most of the evening, the federal agents stayed inside the building, but at a certain point, some of the demonstrators got very close to the property. In fact, some of them went onto the property, started tagging the building, started banging on fences, and shortly after all that happened, the agents started firing off tear gas, and then they came out.
So they started firing tear gas when they stepped foot on the property, and they were shaking the fences. That's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. Now, I'm hoping for new viewers, tune into my last video, because I already showed kind of a lot of what was going on down there when the National Guard was called in, and right when I was kind of just starting to finish up, they had called the military in. They were getting serious, and it didn't help. Trump tried to be nice. Now he's battling the politicians, and all of the footage is coming out. and a lot of the proof of how the politicians have actually been trying to create this. They've been helping this. The same thing that they've done all over the place. They purposely do things in order to get the people to react. They do it for clicks and likes. And this is what gets them elected again. This is how idiots stay in power. And mainstream helps them by pushing this narrative. And this is why I love my job. I wish I could make money. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I need like thousands and thousands of viewers. But we're just gonna keep moving on here. You just can't. Oh, this was really good. This was somebody who actually just did a split screen of comparing the two together. So this was January 6th on the top. Insurrection. This is a peaceful protest on the bottom. LA. Right. Yeah. Interesting. And by the way, Kash Patel let loose there. He said that he could release the only thing he could release is that there were a minimum of 12 informants, antagonists that were there, but he hasn't got confirmation enough or the ability to release the amount of actual people working for the alphabet agencies down there. But the way he was talking, and he kind of threw hints, it sounds like there were a mass amount of infiltrators trying to stoke and rev these people up in order to get them to be violent. This is what they were after. And we already know that Pelosi refused to call the National Guard. We already know this was a complete setup from the Democrats. They wanted to see the White House burn. This is what they wanted, because they would have kept them in power and helped them with their the same thing that the turd did here in Canada with the Freedom Convoy, right? They was using the media to try and secure more votes. He was hoping that this would give him power out of it. And thank God that all of the independent media out there, and the fact that, well, a majority of the people were recording it. So just them sharing their everyday, because there was over, if I remember right, it was 1.75 million people, different people, had rotated through Ottawa within the first 2 weeks. And after that, they couldn't keep track of numbers. It was just hypothetical, because they also had a lot of people that were coming back. They were rotating, taking turns coming back, so that there were always people there. And you know how violent they were, honking their horns, and oh my God, they brought their vicious kids and blew up bouncy castles. My God, the sheer destruction in Ottawa was just incredible. Anyways, we're going to move on here. So this is just some more peaceful protesters. Just peaceful protesters. Look at this guy trying to defend his property. Okay, he got him there. I'm going to shut it down right away here. He's got a rock, a big rock. We'll watch the guys go in, now they start looting. Okay, and this is where I'm going to shut her down right there. So yeah, just peaceful. This is all just peaceful protesters. Not like the Freedom Convoy, those violent, nasty Canadians. No, not at all. They actually called in the mounted police officers as well. The chaos, they're trying everything. And if you look very carefully, look at how many officers are behind these horses, these mounted police. Look at them all. I wish the camera would hold a little bit longer so you could see it. It's over a block long. It's just crazy how many police are back there. They're maxed right out. They've been calling police from different jurisdictions in against Governor Newsom's orders. And then here's Government Newscom. I love the way that his new nickname down there, Governor Newscom. Newscom, love it.
Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
So he's referring to Tom Holman, the actual, you know, the guy who's running the entire operation for ICE in order to clean out these immigrants. And you got to remember, don't let the media fool you. They're not going after everyday immigrants, peaceful immigrants and families. If they stumble upon them through their investigations, then yeah, they're going to go. That's I mean, you shouldn't be there in the first place. They have lists. They have, you can't even call it like Santa Claus lists. We're talking hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of very violent immigrants that they know are there. And with the help of a few governments who have actually been helping send the names out of people they know that their opponent governments, opposition governments in those countries, were actually paying to send there. This was all done purposefully, people. All of it was done purposefully. The Democrat Party was working in conjunction with opposition parties or parties that were in power, and they were letting loose jails so they could say, oh, look how we've dropped crime. And in the meantime, they were paying these guys, booting them out of the country and sending them to the States. We're seeing the same thing here in Canada. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. This is why they've completely removed the vetting process, because then they're not accountable. Oh, well, you know, I guess they slipped through, or, you know, oh, well, we didn't know anything about them. It's sad. It's sad. And this is, like I keep pointing out, this is the global cabal at working what they deem to be needed in order to crush the West, to crush democracy. And with the help of China, because China's doing the same thing, and this all ties in. Now you've got all of these different countries with all of these multi-trillionaires and corporations they're trying to destroy us, and we're allowing them to. That's the saddest part about it. Because of the propaganda, they're getting away with this. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Now we're just going to keep on going. I love this. This is a little clip that somebody put together. It's just
There's
hilarious.
The American
so
dream.
This isn't real.
And the California.
This isn't real. Just so you know, this isn't real. This is a clip. This is a funny ha-ha. And I'm putting it in here because, well, it's really funny.
There's the American dream and the California dream. There's no Alabama dream. Eat your heart out, Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. This is California. The world looks to us to see that it's possible to live, advance, and prosper together across every conceivable difference. It's what makes this state great, that we don't tolerate that diversity as we once had, but we truly can look today and talk in terms of how we celebrate that diversity. There's the American.
Right. Okay. So now I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I got these in a little bit of bad order. There is a clip in here. Okay. So Gavin Newsom, right there, Gavin Newsom. He posted on here that this video is from 2020, and he's been doing this to a whole bunch of the videos going out, and the media has been using it, going, oh yes, he's absolutely right. It's so good that Gavin Newsom is fact checking all of this. Okay, well, he got fact checked by not only the guy who recorded the video, but other people who were going, wait a minute, I posted the video on the other side, and I found this video from the other side. So this is the video he's saying this happened in 2020, which is a lie. Now, there's a police officer trapped in that car. They're trying to light it on fire. Now I'm going to scroll back up here. This is that same overpass from a different angle. And it was date stamped. where they got the officer out already. Gotta love. Look at the commie clothing. They're wearing the Hamas bands and scarves. This is socialism, people. Taking over our country, taking over the states. This is what they live for, chaos. Now they got him trapped underneath the bridge, these cops. These poor cops, man. They're just trying to do their job. Unbelievable. And then, just for even more proof, here is where the guy is actually trying to light the car on fire while there's a police officer in there. The one guy dumped a thing of gasoline, and then this guy is throwing hay covered on a firecracker. That's attempted, you know, that's what that is. This is absolutely sad. And there are people trying to help. A lot of the store owners and stuff are coming out, and they're trying to help these police. And like here in this one, I think this is in a little mini mall. They were calling these police officers in because the cops couldn't see anymore, and they were kind of hovering, rubbing their eyes. So they were taking turns running out, grabbing these cops, bringing them in, sitting them down, and cleaning them up and milking their eyes to try and get the pain away. And what do these cops do? The second they get their vision, they jump up, bloodshot eyes, and they run out the doors and get back to work, while other officers, and now they've got a cycle coming because they're running out telling officers, okay, this store, there's all of the owners from the entire block are all down there, and all of them and their staff are helping the police. They want this to stop. They want these immigrants removed. They want the chaos to end. They want the crime to stop. They're tired of it. They're outnumbered, and that's where Canada is right now. We're outnumbered. The takers and the givers. The givers are outnumbered. The takers have taken over. And it's only going to get worse, and that's why immigration doors are wide open. Because if they could secure the minority government they did after 10 years of absolute destruction to our country, what do you think another 2-3 years of bringing 2 million people in is going to do? Work out the percentage, people. If they're bringing in 2 million people a year and he stays in 2 years, that's 4 million people. That's still not including the minimum 5 million that are supposed to be gone, and still not including the additional, 5.6 million that are already here since the beginning of Trudeau's tenure. And that's not including all of the temporary students and temporary workers that are applying for visas as well. And those numbers, nobody knows. The government has zero transparency. We don't know. So if you really think about it, you have 10 million people. 10 million people. If we were sitting at 36.9 million at the beginning of this, we're at 41 million now, and there's 5 million unaccounted for. That's 46 million. You add another 4 million onto that. That is 20% increase. 15 to 20% increase in population. This is insane. Our system cannot sustain it. We're going to move on. I did the 401, right? Oh yes, and this is those freedom, the American patriots.
A good gesture. This is something we need to make real. We need to bring down.
Okay, I gotta mute right there. I'll mute that. I gotta mute some of this. He's calling for nasty things to Americans. I think it's at 28. I think I can turn it on. I'll wait till 30 just to make sure. And yeah, you can see lighting more of these flags. Okay, 30, I can turn this on. Oops. Okay, well, whatever. More peaceful protests. There's videos I can't show. These biker gangs, they're kind of working together. They're taking off and they come back, they realign. off and they're pillaging areas, and they have trucks and stuff that come in and they load them right up, and then the trucks take off and get rid of the hot stuff, and then these bikes go back, they realign again, and this is a constant looting process. They're getting incredibly organized at it. It's quite sad to see. As long as they stay peaceful and stay out of the way, the cops won't bug them. They're only after the looters, and that's why these people keep coming back to this area, because they know it's the last place the cops are going to come. They're dealing with the place that has the most violence. They're starting with the worst and working their way back. Oh, gotta love this. Andy Lee. God, Andy Lee's amazing. So, documents have come out showing that a non-for-profit, an NGO or charity, this is coming from contribution to the SMR Scalabrinianus mission, con migrants y refugiados, and what they're doing is this is coming from the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives, and they are actually funding to try to get illegal immigrants into the United States. If you can imagine, like, they were part of it the whole time. The whole time. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The sheer chaos. Yeah, absolute craziness. Just absolute craziness down there. I had a few more here I did want to show. Yeah.
Whoa, there we go, there we go. Oh, what he did, what he did. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
He's just trying to get through. He's just trying to get home. Innocent people. Here's the carnage. So, and then we also have these letters that are coming out. More proof that the media has been lying. And a lot of the appointed, because they kind of have the same thing down there, they do have appointed people who deal with these services. So the sheriffs and stuff are elected, but the government itself, the people that deal with them, are all appointed, the administrators and the rest. And they're the ones who are saying, oh no, Trump didn't need to come here. He created all of this chaos and all the rest of this lies. And then we find out that here Bass interfered in LAPD operations yesterday and prevented police from responding to the ICE government agents' calls for assistance when they were overrun by violent leftist protesters. So last night when DHS and FBI requested assistance because they were overwhelmed by rioters, LAPD sat idle waiting for direction. Instead of allowing the incident commander to act, Mayor Karen Bass bypassed established protocol. She called for IC for a briefing, then called the chief of police to tell him what to do. By personally directing operations, Bass functioned as a de facto incident commander in direct conflict with the city's emergencies operations plan and national incident management system protocols. This breach of the chain of command prevented the incident commander from making crucial operation decisions, putting DH officers, FBI agents, and community members at risk, and delayed immediate LAPD support. This unprecedented political interference demands a federal investigation into potential endangerment of federal personnel and obstruction of emergency response. Like, it's just crazy. The carnage, Unnecessary carnage, all for political gain. It's just... This is how societies break down. Love it. He's got the little the pro-Hamas on one shoulder, Mexicali on the other, swinging the Mexican flag. Just craziness.
And cause damage. And so, yes, the LAPD came in and they called it an unlawful assembly. I believe that the LAPD has this underhand, and
sure they do.
They are very, very experienced in riot control. So this is something that they can handle. We do not have to have the National Guard here. We certainly do not have to have the Marines here. This is a manufactured crisis, and we do not need the Insurrection Act, and that is an understatement.
And again, there's a distinction, because in many cases where there...
Just craziness. Just...
At downtown Los Angeles.
The looting is crazy. It's everywhere.
Can I get a new pair of shoes too?
So Trump's ordered 500 Marines in.
No, grab me a shirt. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Just after 3. Arrest the people in face masks now. This is something that I say all the time. Protesters, if you're too embarrassed about what you're protesting to wear a mask, then what you're protesting is morally wrong, and you should be arrested. Period. I don't mask. I do my podcast. I'm proud of what I say. I put all the facts below in the description. So if any of you guys want to actually go through and see all the rest of this clips and see them in their integrity, like their entirety, you're more than welcome to do so. Sorry, just the facts, people. Just the facts. And now we're going to just show you how violent that freedom convoy was. That nasty, horrible, disgustingly violent. The one the media accused of all of these nasty things that none of them came true. But don't worry, they never had to, they never had to write an apology piece. They never had to correct anything. Why? Because they're state funded and they were doing their job, lying to the people. Here's your violent, just insanely unforgivable Canadianism.
Step forward, we got wheels up. Hard dryer, coffee, there's just wheels up, so there's a big rollout happening. You guys up there, stay safe today, we love you. Hold the line. Thank you for all the supporters. Without the supporters, we couldn't have done this.
Did an amazing job.
Look! In that window! In that window, the south window!
that footage is by Eagle Vision Agency. I want to make sure to get their name out there. They did a lot of really incredible work coming out in the most frigid temperatures. That was some of the coldest weather we had. Leave it to those violent, nasty Canadians. So kudos out to Eagle Vision, because just amazing. Now I actually did a video. This is when I first started. I kind of cut my teeth on just learning all the software and stuff. Previous episodes, it's pretty cheesy, it's pretty tacky. It's one of my first things. I had kind of crappy cameras. I was doing it off a laptop, and literally I was streaming it off my phone, man. I've come a long way upgrading and kind of getting better. But the Freedom Convoy issue, I'll tell you something. Every time we would hook up with other people, we met so many incredible people. And it's funny is that we would talk about the media, and a lot of us on our phones would be clicking, watching, and we would see that the mainstream come out, and how they wouldn't even record. They were looking for anything. And there was this one point where the wind had kind of blown through, and somebody had left their bags of leaves on the corner. And the bags, because it was 36 below, it was 48 below with the wind chill. The bags themselves shattered. There's nothing left of them, and these leaves were kind of blowing around. And a couple of the people there, we saw they were arguing with the CBC and CTV who were there. And when they came back over, I went over to them and I was like, hey, because it looked like they were raising a voice. I was like, hey man, we don't want any trouble. And they were like, no, we were laughing at them, and they're trying to say that they were kicking people's private property or whatever. So we're gonna go get some rakes and we're gonna go clean it up. And sure as shoot, the next day when we went back again, all the leaves were cleaned up. They even went in there with shovels and broke the bags free for the person, and it ended up being a senior couple. And I think what happened is they must have just been too darn cold for them, because winter crept in early that year. So they ended up doing their walks and stuff too. And the people that were there, and I hate having to say this, it was Canadians, right? And the media, they said, oh, they were white supremacists. Okay, well that's a lie. I was there. There was blacks, Hispanics, every Canadian you could imagine. And then they're like, oh well, they're misogynistic, homophobic, and all that. That's a lie. There were the whole LGBTQ. There were married couples. There were kids. Like I said, it was Canadians, real Canadians. So yeah, I love that, because we get to see this in real time. So again, careful. Watch your mainstream and just sit back and laugh. You have to laugh. And like I said, I've been scrolling through the Canadian, and they're trying to avoid this like the plague. They don't want to go there. Because if they say what's really going on, they're backing Trump. They can't do that because Orange Man's bad, right? So, and they can't say that it's peaceful, because if they do, they're going to get crapped on, because they've got all of this stuff, and people like me, and thanks to my subscribers liking, subscribing, and sharing, more of us are getting more and more popular and growing, and we're exposing them for what they are. So kudos to you guys, because you're the ones that make it happen. We're just going to scroll through some news here now. I'm going to start off with this G7 thing, just because protest. We're going to see what protesters are what very soon, once this G7 really kicks off. And the Liberals are already preparing for this, and the media is preparing for this, because they need to have that. They got to have that sound bite, right? They got to have something to make it look like, they gotta make news out of something. So we'll see. If Antifa's there, they'll be the good guys, and it'll be a peaceful protest. And if it's peaceful protesters, they'll be misogynistic homophobes and all the rest of it. But we'll see what they're gonna do with it. I'll keep you informed. Anyways, let's get on with this, the rest of the newsreel.
In 1 week, world leaders will gather in Alberta for the G7 summit. Kananaskis and the surrounding area will be on lockdown with tight security and restricted access. CTV's Kathy Lee takes a look at how the shutdown will impact life for locals.
Nature's masterpieces carved in stone. The Rocky Mountains, a stunning backdrop for the G7 summit.
It's going to be really good for the area, actually, so that people from around the world can see the beauty that we have here.
A large perimeter is being set up in and around Kananaskis Village, where world leaders will meet, turning the area into a fortress in the forest. Surveillance above and on the ground. RCMP, military, and other officers tasked with protecting the world leaders when they arrive.
We're talking about thousands of security personnel on the ground. Not everyone is going to be in the Kananaskis area. Some will be in Banff, some will be in Calgary. The logistical component of an endeavor such as a G7 is massive.
Around Kananaskis Village, this fencing has been put up and cameras on the top reinforcing the security in the area. From June 10th to the 18th, a controlled access zone will be established, which means the public will not have access to the village and a large area around it. The closure impacting residents and businesses here.
A lot of the local people are ticked off with the closures.
Rick Gwynn lives in Kananaskis and owns Boundary Ranch. This is typically peak season for him.
It's a bit of a letdown, but I mean, it's everybody in the valley's in the same boat. You know, the golf course shut down for a longer period of time.
Over at that golf course, the general manager remains optimistic.
It gives us a chance to nurture the golf courses along for a couple of weeks.
The closure also means multiple trails, day use areas, and campgrounds will be off limits.
It is a little bit of an inconvenience, but it's not for a long time.
Some planning ahead.
So that, we don't have to reschedule.
Visiting the area now before they are temporarily locked out.
Yeah, no worries. No worries, little business. You know, you got all the rich people coming in, the leaders of these countries, and the reason they're doing it there is because if they have it anywhere else where they should be having it, like maybe in Ottawa, that would be a nice place to have it. But they don't want that because they don't want to have all of these nasty protesters there, kind of like what happened years ago when they had it in Toronto. You remember that chaos and all of the illegal arrests and just the sheer devastation. This way they can control it a lot easier and then make it look like, oh, it was a peaceful... No, these politicians are all loved. Sure they are. Sure they are. I feel sorry for all those business owners. And yeah, they're not interviewing what I'm seeing online. The people that I'm seeing online are choked. They're losing their peak season. And they don't want taxpayers to have to fund them. They're not getting anything, but they're not asking for that. They're like, we're broke. Our country's broke. We're broke. We're trying to make a living, and then you get the government squeezing their way in here, shutting everybody down so that the world doesn't get to see the true spite that these leaders have, that the people have, I should say, against these leaders. It's just disgusting. Again, power. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. Anyways, moving on. I'm going to deal with the wildfires.
Wildfire smoke is still lingering over the Montreal skyline, but this is actually a vast improvement from a few days ago when the city's air quality was among the worst in the world.
We came in and it was super hazy.
Super hazy.
Couldn't see much.
I was up here on Friday and you couldn't see the river or the bridges. You just saw those buildings that you see in the foreground and everything else was completely hazy.
Environment Canada has lifted special air quality alerts for Montreal and Toronto after urging people to stay inside on Friday and Saturday. Smoke from wildfires in Manitoba and Saskatchewan spread all the way east, leading many to think twice about being outdoors on a hot and sunny summer weekend.
I was supposed to go to downtown to go dance salsa with my friends, but we canceled it. We stayed home.
Even our southern neighbors in the United States Midwest have been contending with thick smoke, among them environmental scientist Paige Fisher.
It can be really frustrating and feel a little bit unfair to people who are exposed and at risk of suffering, adverse health effects because of wildfires that they didn't contribute to in the first place.
All the evidence indicates that this is indeed the new normal.
Dr. Jill Baumgartner says poor air quality this time of year should no longer come as a surprise, even thousands of kilometers away from wildfires.
The fires are more intense, and they're happening for longer durations.
These repeated episodes have changed how epidemiologists think about the effects of wildfire smoke on the population.
Now we're studying it from the epidemiology side much more as a longer term exposure because it is happening more frequently.
It's changing people's lifestyles and in some cases, how they go about their livelihoods.
Masks and HEPA air filters could become more popular during wildfire season as its effects continue to impact lives on both sides of the border.
Moving on.
In and burning less than 10 kilometers from the community. And we've learned of a very close call for workers who were racing to build fire breaks for that community. CBC's Linda Ward has more on what is happening in that community. So Linda, I know you've been working the phones. I know you're trying to gather as much information as possible. What have you learned so far?
Yeah, Natasha, we're learning about a very, very harrowing experience for a number of construction workers near Sandy Lake First Nation, and some dramatic images that are coming in to our newsroom that we're getting now. Many of them posted on social media, but take a look at this. These flames just meters away from where the group was huddled. 19 people, nearly all from Manitoba, were in the area. They were cutting fire breaks near Sandy Lake when the fire just closed in around them. You can see here just how close that fire is. And they decided to seek shelter in a shipping container, eventually then fleeing that shipping container just as that container caught fire. We had reached out to the chief of Sandy Lake First Nation, who says the group is lucky to be alive.
It just engulfed on them real fast. They were trying to help out by creating, what do you call those, barriers? And they didn't realize how fast fire would burn. And then they got trapped, and they pretty much got trapped in a circle. But thankfully, that's a big yard. So I think
the smoke was so thick that even when they left that shipping container, the helicopters that were out there looking for them couldn't find them. So they had to wait it out. About 4 or 5 hours later, they drove in a convoy back to Sandy Lake First Nation along one of the main roads. They were able to get back to safety, and they are all now back in Winnipeg.
Okay, and what can you tell us about the evacuation effort that's currently underway?
Yeah, so speaking with the chief, it is a very active evacuation effort right now that is underway, talking helicopters, Dash 8s, Cessnas, just going back and forth into this community, trying to get as many people out as possible. Now, we know that there's Prime Minister Mark Carney has posted on social media saying that Canadian Forces is stepping in to help with this evacuation, emergency airlift evacuation around Sandy Lake First Nation. So far, Canadian Forces aircraft have taken about 500 people out of this community. There are about 1,000 more, and these are the priority residents. So we're talking people with health issues, small children, and their families that will be taken out of this community first. And then about 2,000 or so more that will be waiting just for that first group to be taken out of the community. They have boats ready, they say, if they need to get out quickly. They're not sure if they're going to have to wait this out all the way through this firefight. As well, the runway there is very short, so even though these planes are coming in to get people out, they can't take the full capacity of that airplane. So this is a lengthy operation and a very active operation. They're taking them to Red Lake, but Red Lake is now overrun, so they're going to have to take them now to potentially Thunder Bay or larger areas that can accommodate the number of people that are going to have to leave this community. Natasha.
CBC's Linda Ward,
Crazy.
thank you.
Very lucky. I'm happy nobody was hurt. That's scary. I've dealt with fire a few times in my life, and you don't mess with it, man. It's mean. It's vicious. And if the fire don't touch you, the smoke will take your breath and let the fire come and grab you. I'm so glad everybody's okay out there. Scary times. Now, this is Rebel News. These two reporters are talking about the 20% unemployment rate in youth right now. And again, because of statistics, the way that they measure it, this is actually almost double that number. It's closer to 40% unemployment in youths. And I've been reading some, and I can't necessarily fact check them, although their numbers do seem to kind of coincide with how I've been doing my math on it. And I'm saying that most of them are right, that it's probably closer to 55%. But I just get a kick out of, I'm going to cut just one little wee clip out of here to, well, just listen.
Yep, go on.
Yeah, and it comes from Statistics Canada, which adds that the total number of jobless people in May was almost 14% higher than this time last year. And again, they excluded COVID era data because that was just unprecedented, the level of people who were unemployed at that time from 2020 to 2021. And then I'm just looking for it here, but of course they say that this could be due to the impact of tariffs on Canada and factory shutdowns, this sort of thing.
Yeah, except it's been steadily rising long before that, so I don't think that's exactly what it is.
And how many teenagers are working at the auto and steel manufacturing plants? Right.
I don't know if you have any young adults in your family. I do, and I can see it big time with them. You know, they're in college, they're in university, they're trying to get their side jobs, and they can't get hired wherever they're going. Yes. And then just call it like it's see it. There's a lot of foreigners working the jobs that typically when I was younger, I would have been working and my friends would have been working. There is initiatives. I was at Popeye's Chicken the other day, and I just asked. I happened to notice all of the staff had strong accents. They were all South Asians. And I just said, hey, how did you get this job? And she said she applied on an app in India and got the job. So that's certainly not helping the joblessness in Canada as well, because the question becomes what demographics are jobless as well.
Yeah, that's just it. I was looking, I thought
exactly. And I've done this again, previous episodes, for any of my new subscribers, please go through it. I like just the facts, and I put all my evidence down there, with the government subsidizing employers to purposefully hire immigrants. They can pay the immigrants at a lesser wage, and then they get paid from the government, and then they take a pile of cash off the top. All the owners do much better. And guess what? They're driving down the wages and increasing, again, that separation of wealth between the rich and the poor. And in the meantime, the actual people born and raised here in Canada, or even, who have been here for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, who have done their time, learned to assimilate within society, get into the norm, be part of the whole process and be paying taxes and living in the society. Now they or their children are in the same boat because they're Canadian. So elbows up, everybody. Now I'm going to move on to this clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if you want, like as always, it's posted below. I'm just going to play the last little segment of this. Vassy, you are an embarrassment. Just check this out. It's absolutely hilarious.
And I take your point on that change in sentiment and looking for new markets. I would point out that TMX has already had a big impact on that. Total crude oil movements from Alberta to BC more than tripled from May to December from the same 8-month period in 2023. It's at 367.4.
Now, pay attention because the video's already been ongoing, and Vassy's been kind of a goofball the whole time, but she's pushing a narrative. And Danielle, she's the best. Like, she's such a breath of fresh air. She's such a realist. Libertarian, right? She's a libertarian. How can you not love a libertarian? Oh, sorry. Maybe I'm being a little biased because I'm a libertarian. But watch her facial expressions during this, and then how very politely she kind of corrects Vassy. It's
4% increase. At the same time, I'll revisit my point. I don't understand the grand bargain, essentially. Why does there need to be a grand bargain in order for big profitable oil companies to...
There's the breath. Oh, God, here we go again. She's not going to get off it.
Do the right thing when it comes to emissions. And why are taxpayers essentially on the hook through either credits or for forfeiting revenue that could be going to other things like healthcare and education? Why are we on the hook for that?
Well, you can't spend money if you don't create it.
And the energy companies create a lot of money for us. We get about $17 billion worth of revenue from those companies. So we want to be able to see the ability for them to create more of that. We've always had a funding arrangement with our energy companies that allow them to recover the cost of construction of their oil sands operations before they have to pay the higher royalty premium. We've always had these kinds of mechanisms in law. And so putting forward a proposal as we had with the carbon capture utilization and storage tax credit, they'll be able to get a rebate of 12% of the cost. That's very much in keeping with the kind of supports that we've given in the past. I think the advantage this time is that they can now see the potential for new markets. And if you can have $20 billion worth of sales year after year after year for 20 or 30 years, that's a pretty good value proposition. So I'm happy to link those two so that we can get both projects going ahead. And I think it'll be good for the country. And it will also put us in a position where we have the lowest carbon barrels in the world, which I think should open up some additional markets for us. And I think that that's what this is all about, is trying to find new markets so that we're not 100% reliant on the United States.
One of the factors that contributes to the sort of revenue cost calculation of carbon capture is the industrial price on carbon. You freezing it has had a negative impact on that calculation. Are you going to unfreeze it?
I have to tell you that it was going up at too high a rate. And if it kept on going up at this rate to $170 by 2030, there would be no investment happening in Alberta. In consulting with the industry, we thought that freezing it at 95 was about the right amount. As you know, the federal government is writing contracts for differences with companies to guarantee a price of $86.50, so it's above what the guarantee is. And when I would just point out, Quebec's carbon market traded last year at $41. So we're already double the carbon market that exists on the other side of the country. So I think that we're prepared to continue working with industry to set that rate at the right level to incentivize the kind of investments that we want to see. But it can't be so high that it ends up killing all of the revenue generating investment. I think there's a balance, and I think that we have found it. I hope that we're going to be able to see these projects go forward on that basis.
Now look at Vassy. She's like, oh, I gotta get my narrative across. I gotta protect these liberals. I gotta protect this bullshit green scam. I'm gonna try it one more time.
But again, that has an impact ultimately on the profitability of carbon capture, which if you are having
profitability of carbon capture. Profitability. Listen to what she's saying. Listen to the insanity. These people don't know how to do math. What profitability?
Negative impact on that further relies those companies on money, again, that could go to other things from that pipeline you're talking about, or even through tax credits that your government and the federal government is offering. Like, why are we in that cycle?
Danielle.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why you need to have both go at the same time, because if you can earn revenue by selling more product to Asia and Korea and Japan and China, then why would that becomes the revenue stream that helps justify the cost associated with carbon capture. So there's different ways to be able to go about doing this.
But that revenue could do other things. That's the point, right? You made the pitch initially that it could build the roads, build the hospitals, build the schools, and now it's instead going to go to oil companies.
Well, 100% of zero is zero, Vassy. Like, if you don't end up with production and you don't end up with revenue, there's nothing to divvy up. You have to begin with production. You have to create the environment where energy companies feel like they can get product to market and they can make money at it, and then we all benefit. But at the moment, we've had a situation where we've had cancellation of pipelines. The cancellation of Energy East, of Keystone, of Northern Gateway. That would have generated 2.5 million barrels a day more of production than we have right now, which would have been $55 billion of revenue that we don't have to talk about who ends up getting what share. I don't want that situation to continue. We have to get these projects built, and then we can talk about what the relative amount is that should go to different levels of government, First Nations, the company itself. But I can tell you for certain, if none of these projects get off the ground, then we'll be in the same position that we have been for the last 10 years, watching missed opportunity go by.
I just quickly point out, according to Statistics Canada, for the fourth consecutive year, production of crude oil and equivalent projects reached a record high in 2024, up 4.3% from 2023. I do really quickly want to turn to asking you about...
I just want to say, we have an aspiration to double our production, and we could have been at already probably 6 to 7 to 8 million barrels a day. That's what I'm looking at. And why should we hold ourselves back when we know the world wants our products? This is the time for us to build them.
Yeah, I guess I'm just countering the idea that things are destitute or that nothing is being developed or production is extremely capped. Like, the numbers bear out a different story. They're not perhaps as high as you and other people in the province or maybe even across the country want to see, but they're not going down.
Vassy, we've got the lowest living standards in the world. Like, we're falling behind all the OECD countries in productivity growth and standard of living growth. And that's because these are the kind of projects that consistently fail and do not get built. So we can't sugarcoat that. That is a reality. If we want to be a rich country and we want to be able to keep up with our neighbors in growth, we've got to build things. We've got to dig things out of the ground. We've got to get products to market. We can't keep on borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and watching the kind of situation that we've seen over the last 10 years develop. That is not what Albertans want. It's not what Canadians want. And so I think there needs to be a complete attitude adjustment about all of these projects, because we've lost a lot of opportunity across the board, across the country.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note.
Yeah, you better, Vassy, because you have no idea what you're talking about. That is complete socialist ideology right there. She has no understanding of basic math. None at all. The questions... You can tell she's being served them on a silver platter, because there's nobody in their right mind who could possibly deal with what she does, a supposed journalist, which we know she's not, but even a reporter who's reading and been doing this for as many years as she has been, and to be that daft. Like, are you that daft? So if nobody in the house can get a job and make any money, but we have to pay a carbon tax on the energy that we need just to live in the house, society's going to do good, because that carbon tax is supposedly going to build the roads that I'm going to not be able to use because I can't afford my car or to put fuel in it. You need the people to make money first. So the more you raise the carbon tax, the less likely it is I'm or my wife or the family or anybody's going to be able to get a job, because nobody's going to be building anything. So what good is the carbon tax? The entire carbon tax is a socialist scheme. It is the biggest scam that I've ever read about. And I'm a history buff. And I've never read ever in my life, such a global, we're talking a huge scam, the people that are invested into it. And again, previous episodes, I did a couple on Kearney, Brookfield. It is a scam. A huge scam. I can't wait until the Senate finally starts holding and bringing in subpoenaed people. And hopefully Kearney's one of them, because his name is on the list for all of the illegal things that him and his corporation have done through bribery, manipulation, forced purchase, all the rest of this, in order to take over or put companies out of business in this green scam. Unbelievable. Our world is just, Canada is, God, man, and we're one of the worst countries. The UK fell for it. The people are waking up, but Canada, wow, man, unbelievable. Anyways, guys, I'm going to call that an episode. Before I do, though, I'm just going to kind of scroll through. I just, like I said, I just finished doing a bunch of new products here. Check out my store. I got some like super groovy sweaters, of course, the hats. I got a lot of different women's clothing with some pretty cool sayings and stuff on it. My Ethos collection I'm pretty proud of, actually. Just the saying, it's something that I've had and said for a long time. It's been kind of my it's my ethos, right? It's see if I can get it on here. There we go. But yeah, birthplace Earth, race human, politics freedom, religion love. Yeah, I've got these all different types of colors. Like I said, I've got other stuff as well. I'm dealing a lot here. I just kind of got my Western Independence line going. Lots of great stuff. Make sure you check it out. The prices are pretty darn good. Yeah. Until next time, though, you guys, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. It's definitely helps me grow the channel. I want to thank all of my subscribers for helping me out of that little bit of a rut that I fell into with this heavy, I'm talking heavy censorship. And I went hard on the last episode, and thanks to you, you guys bumped me up out of it, and I'm sure appreciate it, man. I really do. So we know that We can fight these algorithms. It's just, it takes a team to do it. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, this is the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm Alias the Guy. Stay informed.